Welcome once again to the Nickman's Drug Health Information Show. We're still workshopping some ideas on what the title of the show is going to be. I'm Josh Krysak here from WMBS, and I'm joined once again by my good friend Pete Krekel. He's a pharmacist and director of clinical operations, clinical services at Nickman's Drug at their 7 locations here in Fayette and Washington counties. Pete, how are you?
I'm doing extremely well. Beautiful sunshine. It's fall.
It is fall.
Let's celebrate. Let's go outside like we're told to go outside and play in the beautiful leaves and the beautiful sunshine that we have. So
yeah, I know today's topic is all about the outdoors, and it kind of is a perfect time. Even though maybe the summer months are past us, everybody's still going to be outside for the next few months, and we're talking about Lyme disease, poison ivy, and snake bites.
Right. I call it the not so great outdoors, which, we live in Fayette County, or it's just an absolute beautiful corner of the world where we do get the 4 seasons. I have relatives in Florida that say, how can you stand the winter? And I was like, how can you stand 12 months of summer?
Yeah.
The seasons change here. The leaves are pretty well coming down now, and we're going to tell you about going outside. This is the time of the year too. A lot of us manly men go outside, put on the blaze orange, and go deer hunting, rabbit hunting, pheasant hunting. And I have a lot of relatives that are into that, and there's nobody enjoys the great outdoors more than me. I was a scout leader up in central Pennsylvania for 17 years. There was just nothing like in October, sleeping out at the fall camporee, sleeping on nice hard. Okay, it was just nice drinking coffee in the morning.
It was nice to be outdoors in the morning for coffee, right?
With the fresh smell of coffee. But there's just a lot of stuff that we want our listeners to be comfortable with.
Yeah.
Going back to our first episode that aired a couple weeks ago, we need to remember the purpose of this program. This program is not to advertise Nickman's Drug Store. This is to educate. This is part of Jim Nickman's giving back to his people in Fayette County. So you might want to grab a pencil and paper, get out your spiral notebooks, and get ready for lecture time, because we're going to talk about things that really were in my St. Francis lectures that I always wanted my physician assistants to be comfortable with in teaching, and also we very much want our patients to be good at as well. So if you are in the neighborhood of Nickman's, and if you live in Fayette County, it's pretty hard not to find a Nickman's when we have one in Connellsville, Lemont Furnace.
You did it. You got it.
I did it. Hopwood. We also have one in Fairchance, Masontown, Brownsville / Grindstone, and also in California, PA. So we have flyers that Jim had me create. A lot of it is just my distilled St. Francis notes. A lot of it I'm going to share with you today. But if you don't have that number 2 pencil for your Scantron sheet for your exam at the end of this course, well, we won't give you a quiz either. But if you don't want to take notes, stop by Nickman's. We have these flyers made up that Jim wanted me to create for his people in Fayette County. So the first one is Lyme's disease. We're going to talk about hunting season, and we're going to talk about poison ivy, and then finally we're going to talk about snake bites. I left my rattlesnake out in the car, so we won't be bringing that in.
There's no show and tell there. So I will tell you, the Lyme disease one's going to be interesting. I have no problem sharing it. 2 of my brothers have Lyme disease. They both have got it in the last 2 years. One got very sick with it. The other one was mildly sick with it. So I'm intrigued and interested to hear what you have to say.
Okay, well, Lyme disease, let's figure out where Lyme disease came from. Came from a little town called Lyme, Connecticut.
Makes sense.
And what happened is there was a bunch of the little kids there had this juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. They would wake up feeling sick and their joints were sore, and so the rheumatologists were treating them as you would for any kid with swollen joints. Mm-hmm. And then they noticed that when these little angels got an ear infection, they had hit them with amoxicillin, and the swelling would go away. And it's like, now we know a lot about rheumatology, but amoxicillin and antibiotic therapy is not how you treat juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. So they noticed that and they said, it's gotta be something else. Well, they were able then to elucidate the fact that it was caused by a tick bite and by a special bacterium. It's a spirochete, kind of looks like a corkscrew, called Borrelia burgdorferi. You don't need to know that for the test because it's on the flyer. So it all starts with a tick bite.
Yeah.
So what is the best way to prevent Lyme disease? Keep the ticks off of you.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do first of all. They did try a Lyme vaccine years ago. I believe it was SmithKline Beecham tried it, and it was a miserable failure. So we cannot seem to figure out how to put together a good Lyme disease vaccine. But fortunately, treatment is pretty easily. The typical symptoms that these patients have include fever and headache, fatigue, and a characteristic skin rash called a bullseye rash. It looks like a Target logo.
Right.
And it can be anywhere. The one that I diagnosed that came to mind first was a little girl. She was 12 years old, and her grandma said, "Hey, Pete, could you take a look at her ear? I think she got a tick bite or something." So I looked and I saw this black spot right above her mastoid bone, right above her ear. And I pulled her hair way back, and I saw
right in the hair
red circles,
which makes it hard to see. You don't know it's there.
Grandma never saw it. If it's on your arm, you're going to say, "Oh, wow,
Yeah,
look at that bullseye
right.
rash, Josh. That looks like Lyme disease." And so that's what she had. And immediately they took her down to the doctor. The doctor thanked us profusely for diagnosing it and put her on an antibiotic, and she never had a bit of problem from it.
Right.
So, but here's the key. This is the tough part. 70% of the time, 70 to 80% of the kids get a rash. Can I say that in English? 20 to 30% of the time, they do not get a rash. 1 out of 5 will not get a rash, and that could very well have happened with your brothers.
Yeah.
They might not have gotten the rash at the site of the tick bite.
Right.
So we need to really be vigilant. It's not going to be, "Well, Josh, until you get the rash, don't worry about it." No, we need to be really, really conscientious. And where we live, we have deer in our backyard. Matter of fact,
Right.
I feed them, and so
So do we.
and so do my grandsons.
Yeah,
We take corn and apples and stuff down, and they're all named. Molly is one of them. Betty, she's the nosy one, and not picking on any neighbors or anything, but that's so we have deer all over the place, and the vector is this: it goes from a mouse to a deer. Okay. So, and that's how they move around. So if you're in tall grasses, leaves, things like that, because these ticks can live without a human host for a while. And so, like, if the kids, remember how when we were kids, we used to play out in the leaves,
jump in the
leaf pile, and that. I don't know that I'd recommend that anymore, unless, of course, the kid is protected against it. So what you want to do is wear light clothes when you go outside. That's a big one. You want to wear long pants. So
long sleeves too.
Long sleeve shirts, long sleeve pants. Keep out of the high grasses, and if you can't avoid that, that's okay. But you want light colored pants. Usually those real light, like Columbia makes them, they're more like a hiking pant, and they're very, very comfortable to wear outside. So that is the key, is to keep the tick off of you. There is also an amazing spray called permethrin spray. Permethrin, there's 3 different kinds of permethrin. One permethrin that we use is for head lice. Okay, kills the lice. There's another one called permethrin 5% or elamite. That is, we put it on the skin for scabies, a harder bug to kill. But what I'm talking about is an insecticide spray. It does not go on your body, it goes on your clothes.
Okay.
And it's called permethrin spray. Sawyer makes one. There's a lot of different ones at Nickman's, because I insist on it, and Jimmy wants to take care of his people in Fayette County. It's called Ranger Ready is what we have. It's in a orange container. Just go back to the pharmacy and ask the pharmacist for it, and you spray your clothes. Not every time. You only have to spray it about once every 6 weeks. So it's good for up to about 5 or 6 launderings.
It's got some staying power.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. So what we do is, like my gardening pants or my lightweight pants, spray them, and I just let them hang in the garage, and about every couple months I go out with the spray, soak them down, and let them go. Yeah. Because if left untreated, this Lyme disease, it's not just a bullseye rash. That's what everybody thinks.
Yeah.
It's not, it gives you a rash. It can spread to your joints. It can spread to your heart. It can even spread to your brain as well and cause an encephalitis or a meningitis in the brain. So these things are very, very dangerous. So we need to do all that we can here in this area. Pennsylvania is considered an endemic Lyme disease area, which is a designation by the CDC that says you're probably going to get it.
Wow.
Okay? So if you go outside, and we want you to, just be prepared for it. Long pants, long sleeve shirt. You know how you use the sunscreen when you have less clothes on at the beach? Well, when you wear your long clothes, make sure you spray everything down with permethrin. Now, most of the Lyme disease cases can easily be treated very successfully with a couple of weeks of antibiotics.
Right.
And the good news is they're cheap antibiotics. The antibiotics that we typically use in non-pregnant adults, and you can even use them in kids, but a lot of docs aren't comfortable with doxycycline in kids. But doxycycline, been around since 1969. It's one of the tetracycline drugs, and it's taken twice a day for 14 to 21 days. With doxycycline, you make sure you're using a sunscreen because that can increase your ability to sunburn. But it usually caught early enough, it's going to take care of it.
Yeah.
We can also use amoxicillin, like the kids that had the ear infections up in Lyme. So amoxicillin will do a good job in taking care of it. Ceftin is a bigger pill to swallow, causes a lot of stomach upset. It does work, but we don't use it a whole lot. And azithromycin, which I think we're all have taken Z-Packs in our career. You take 2 of the 250 tablets at a time for as much as 7 to 10 days. There's different guidelines. These are the ones that most doctors adhere to, but there's also some called the ILADS guidelines, which are just a little bit more aggressive and longer. So I want you to, when you go outside, so you don't need to get the doxycycline, amoxicillin, or Ceftin, is spray your clothes down, long pants, long shirt, spray your clothes down, and use the DEET insect repellent. The standard old bug spray that you can put on your skin. That is very effective too for keeping the ticks away. High socks, long pants, lightweight shirts. Check for nymphal ticks as soon as you're done playing outside or jumping in the leaves. Come in and check. They usually go to the warm spots. Remember, Anna, hers was behind her ear, warmest spot on your head, or the cracks,
elbows and knees.
Elbows, knees, any place, those fissures we call them, is definitely going to be a good home for these ticks. They're the size of a poppy seed. Our people in Fayette County, you know what nut rolls look like, and poppy seed rolls, a good Slovak tradition that my wife would make as well. You know what poppy seeds look like? That's the size of the nymph. That's the size when they stick on you. Then they can start to grow and grow and grow, and they can become rather large. So if you do see them, you want to pull them off with a pair of tweezers. Get as close as you can to the top of the skin and pull straight. Don't twist, don't jerk. As mad as you are at that tick, gradual straight pulling, and then wipe off the affected area. Let your doctor know and see what he wants to do. Usually if it's not attached for more than 36 hours, you won't get Lyme disease. It takes 36 hours for that bacteria to come out of the tick's mouth and into your skin.
Wow.
And just pull it straight out, save it in a jar or a vial, and you should be good to go. But Lyme prevention, this is the old ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure.
Yeah. No, I think that's all fascinating stuff. Wish my brothers maybe would have done some of those things. One of them, like I said, he went through 2 courses of antibiotics and was able to be fine within about 2 weeks. The other one lasted a good bit longer. Both of them recognized it when they had unexpected fatigue and joint pain. So a lot of the guys that are working more like labor jobs and stuff, those are some of the normal aches and pains. But if they continue a little longer, seem a little worse, maybe see your doctor.
Exactly. Highly recommended that you talk to your doctor and get your prescription filled and make sure you take it for the entire course.
Absolutely. So before we jump into poison ivy, if you're just joining us, I'm here with Pete Krekel. He is the Director of Clinical Services at Nickman's Drug. He's a pharmacist, 44 years. He knows what he's doing. We're talking about Lyme disease and poison ivy and snake bites today as we're entering the fall season. Everybody's outside, so let's talk about poison ivy, Pete.
All righty, poison ivy. Leaflets 3, let them be.
Yes.
Harry Vine, no friend of mine.
Yeah.
Don't be a dope and touch the rope.
Okay.
All right. So those are things that we all learned about poison ivy. When I lived up in central Pennsylvania, and it's just a lot cooler up there in the mountains, I would be out with my scout troop, and we'd be walking down the Trail of the New Giants at Parker Dam State Park. Oh, look, over here, little Josh, there's poison ivy.
Right.
You know, it was unusual to see it. Here in Fayette County, it's everywhere.
It is.
If you have a line of trees and you have a field, that line is where the poison ivy is. I've never seen poison ivy like I have seen
everywhere.
here in Fayette County
Yeah.
and northern West Virginia. It is virtually everywhere.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, everybody that sees a vine says, "Don't touch that, it's poison ivy." That's not the case either, but it's probably better than grabbing it and not.
Yeah, if you don't know, don't grab it.
Exactly. And we see it growing up trees. I've never seen the rope poison ivy till we came to Fayette County. I've never seen it, growing up the side of a tree, and it looks like a rope with little fuzzy tendrils coming off of it.
Yeah.
So identification, like we talked about in Lyme disease, recognition, that's going to be step one. So if you see poison ivy, the first thing you want to do is, yeah, that's right, step away. It comes from the Toxicodendron genus. So that even just sounds like a dangerous name.
It does. It sounds
Toxicodendron.
rough.
You see toxics in there. And it is a major cause of contact dermatitis. 10 to 50 million Americans develop allergic contact dermatitis to this family annually. 10% of all occupational injuries among seasonal farm workers in Pennsylvania and New York are due to poison ivy.
That's incredible. That's a stat I never would have guessed.
Outside workers. So whether you're picking cabbage out in a farmer's field or whether you're cutting brush on the power lines, you are at risk for poison ivy.
Yeah.
And so it is just critically important that you recognize it. Now, I've had people say, oh, I had some poison ivy on me and it didn't bother me. Well, there's two phases to poison ivy. The first one is called the sensitization. Okay? Means you are previously exposed to it. Your body says, oh, urushiol, that's the name of the oil that's in these poison ivy plants. And your immune system's on it, oh, urushiol. And it builds up immunity and gets ready for the next attack.
Yeah.
So, it's 3 months later, 6 months later, you're out in the garden and you pull out the poison ivy. Nothing's going to happen, right? It happened the last time. Nothing happened. Oh, guess what happens? This time your body is now ready. Your body is primed. Your body is ready for the elicitation phase where it just attacks. And that's where you get the characteristic blisters, the wheals, the seeping, the oozing, and all that. So all of a sudden you might not be able to roll around in the bed of poison ivy like you thought you did until you overcame your sensitization phase. So urushiol, which is an oleoresin, and that's a fancy name for it's like a lacquer, it's like a varnish, kind of sticky. Think of shellac. It's clear, it sticks, and it comes from the broken stems and leaves. That's where we get it from. So it can be transmitted to the patient by contact with the plant, to pets, tools, gloves, shoes, and clothing, and even me. If I'm pulling poison ivy from the garden and I say, Josh, great to see you. How you doing? And that urushiol's on my hand, it will transmit.
Right.
Now, after I wash my hands and all that, no, it's not going to happen. But that's the first thing we have to do is how do we get rid of the poison ivy, the urushiol that's on it? Walking past a plant's not going to hurt you, but it's the broken leaves, the broken stems, anything that oozes that oil is going to be the problem. So what you want to do, first of all, is avoid the plant. Leaflets 3, let them be. Hairy vine, no friend of mine. Don't be a dope and touch the rope. That's what you want to do. But if you come in contact with it, you've got about 10 golden minutes
to get it off.
To get it off. And what are you going to get it off with? I highly recommend Dawn dishwashing liquid or whatever dishwashing liquid you have at your house that your wife provides for you to do the dishes. Okay? And so you thoroughly wash your hands. And I'd say a good couple happy birthdays, at least 2 or 3 minutes. I
Be
would
serious
wash
about
serious.
it. Yeah.
Now, what happens if you're out in the woods with the Boy Scouts in your backpack? You might not have your Dawn dishwashing liquid. What I take is Fels Naphtha soap. Your grandma had it. It's the old, comes in a white wrapper, washboard soap.
Okay.
It's like a yellow soap. It's hard as a rock, and if it gets wet, it doesn't melt like so many of the fancy soaps that we use in the shower. So good old Fels Naphtha soap. everybody that goes outside should have one. What I would do is I'd take one of my wife's stockings and I'd drop half of a bar of Felsnap in it, tie it to my backpack or tie it to the seat in my canoe. That way, if I pull up to a bank and I would reach out and pull in, oh my gosh,
You've
poison
got
ivy.
it immediately.
I have my Felsnap soap,
Wow.
and I just scrub in the river and let it all wash away. So Felsnap soap, and yeah, at my insistence, we have that at Nickman's too, along with our
That's
Ranger
cool.
Ready spray.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all of our older people that have ever seen Grandma use a washboard, Felsnap soap is definitely what you want to be using. So. Some other things too that we need to be concerned about is if over 25% of your body is contaminated, you need to see a doctor. And I think even less than that. The rule of nines goes 18% of your body would be your entire arm.
Yeah.
But if that much is involved, or anything in the face, or anything in the private areas, because with little kids, they're forever scratching down there too.
Yeah.
If they get into it, so anything beyond the hands, you definitely need to see the doctor. And if they've previously had it and their reaction seems to be getting a whole lot worse.
Sure.
So what are we going to treat it with?
Yeah.
All right, so this is an attack on your immune system. Your immune system is overly stimulated, overly primed, and it's ready to raise all kinds of problems. Well, you have to have a prescription from your doctor for prednisone.
Mm-hmm.
And where some of the providers that haven't treated a lot of poison ivy might stumble, they might give you something like a Medrol dose pack, the old standard 6-day treatment, which works great for 6 days. This is a long-term thing. This is almost 20 days. 14 to 21 days is how long you need to treat it. So I would always teach my physician assistant students, start somebody on 60 milligrams a day for 3 days, then taper down 60, 40, 20, 10, 5, and then gradually taper it off. But you want to start with a high dose, and you want to keep them on it. Because if you give them just 6 days, they'll come back like maybe 7 days or 8 days later and say, I must have gotten into that poison again. It's all coming back.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it wasn't treated for long enough. So just remind your doctor too, they need to be told how to practice medicine, but it is best to treat it for at least 12 to 14 days. So what about
Topical.
Benadryl? What about,
Yeah.
do we like
Is that-
Benadryl?
I don't
Benadryl's
know.
good stuff,
Does it
right?
work?
Works for allergies. No,
I think no.
It's worthless because it's a contact dermatitis.
Okay.
Okay, so if I get an allergies, my eyes are running and all that, that is caused by histamine, so we take an antihistamine like Benadryl.
Yeah.
This is not histamine
Okay.
modulated. This is modulated by a contact dermatitis. So it's a different type of overreaction of the immune system. Benadryl is worthless. Anything topical is pretty much worthless. The only thing that I'll recommend, they're called dome burrow tablets. You don't see them a whole lot in the pharmacy. We have them at Nickman's. And you throw the tablet into a glass of water or a packet into a glass of water, and then you make a wet to dry dressing and blot it on. It doesn't really cure anything, but it helps with the itching so
What
much.
about, so another one that I heard that I've used in the past was oatmeal. Is that a good, does it
Oatmeal-
help?
Oatmeal's okay. What I don't like about oatmeal, first of all, the price. I like it for breakfast. It's good.
It is
Give me
good.
some raisins
I like
and brown
oatmeal
sugar.
too.
We're going to eat our oatmeal, but
Yeah.
I'd rather you eat it than wear it. The oatmeal baths, the colloidal oatmeal baths are okay. It might soothe the skin a little bit, but it makes the bathtub slippery, and that oatmeal will clog up your drains. So
I got you.
I am not
So it's
really-
limited value.
very, very, very limited value. You're better off buying the Dome Burrow tablets, making your wet to dry dressing, and then dabbing that on. And that helps a whole lot with the itching, and it helps kind of dry up those lesions. Now, the serum, the stuff in those blisters, that's just serum. That's just your body stuff. That is not the poison. That is
So-
not going to spread.
So if I touched your arm and you had poison ivy, but it's 3 days ago when you got it, I'm not going to get poison ivy.
You're not going to get it. So what would you do if you found a whole bunch of poison ivy on your property? You're going to, I use a shovel and dig it up, roots and all. I wear gloves. Okay. Now what should I do with it? You don't burn it.
It puts it into the air.
Exactly. It puts that urushiol. Remember I said it's an oil, a resin, a lacquer, puts it into the air, and then you breathe it in. One of my students at St. Francis told me a horror story. he lived down in Adams County where they have a lot of orchards, lots of apple orchards. And what happened was the owner of the apple orchard was cleaning up, and so he got his little skid steer out and he pushed all of these dead trees and stuff together. Let's have a bonfire. Invited his daughter's friends over, about 15 or 20 of them, lit the fire, and pretty soon everybody started coughing and got really, really, really sick. Some of them had to go to the emergency room because they were wheezing so bad. And what it was the urushiol oil got into the kids' lungs. You bet you're going to be on IV steroids for a while for that. Yeah. Do not burn poison ivy. Dig it out and just get rid of it. Maybe
bury
in a garbage can, bury it in a bag, or you just don't throw it in the neighbor's yard because my daughter lives next door to me, so I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, no, I got you.
So, and that's what we do for poison ivy. And then the last thing that we want to cover is snake bite envenomation.
Yep.
And this is an easy one. Wear high leather boots. And if you get bit by a snake, there's only one thing you can do: get the patient out of the woods as soon as possible. There is a monoclonal antibody called Crofab, and very, very expensive. So the hospitals might have 1 or 2 vials in stock. Sometimes they might need 6 or 8, but the hospitals all communicate so well together that they can get it flown in and get you treated. That'll save your life.
So there's a network for that. If they need it, they can get it from other places.
I worked with a pharmacist at Nickman's that recently retired, and he said that was his job, was chasing down Crofab among the area hospitals in Greensburg and Uniontown to get them all together to treat a patient. But even that is not nearly the disaster that it used to be. Yeah. But again, it's all about prevention. When you step over a log, you don't step over a log. You step on top of the log, look down, and then step over it.
Right.
Because snakes like to lay alongside of a log, because that's why the mice run alongside of a log to keep the birds of prey from eating them. So they'll like hide out running along the logs. That's where the snake is most likely to live. And if you just step over a log, you might get bitten. So high leather boots, and be careful in the woods. Listen for the sound of the rattlers. Just keep away from them. You don't need to kill them. They're eating mice and doing a good job for you. Just don't get in their way.
If you do get bit, what should your immediate first steps be?
Get out of the woods. Get
as
to the
fast
hospital.
as possible.
I would say just dial 911 and tell them what hospital you're going to, and to start rounding up the Crofab.
Yeah.
And that will definitely save a life. And it takes some pretty good training. It's a really fun website to look at. And what they do is they wait for the poison to crawl up your arm, and then they give you the Crofab, and then they take a marker, and then they mark all the way up on the limb so that they can see that, okay,
it's not
moving any further. We gave it the right dose, let it do its job, and the patient will be fine.
Wow. And obviously you're going to experience some, regardless, you can be saved with that, but you're still going to have sight pain, swelling, all that stuff because you were bitten regardless.
Right, exactly. This is just going to save your life. So we have to be careful in the great outdoors. I mean, we need to be outside and playing. I think it makes everybody feel better. So whether we're looking for the tiny little ticks the size of a poppy seed, leaflets 3, let them be, no hairy vine, no friend of mine, and above all, rattlesnakes, you can be safe in the outdoors. Just pay attention, and I hope we gave you some points today that will maybe make you a little bit more cognizant when you're outside, but by all means, go outside.
Absolutely. So for Pete Krekel, I'm Josh Krysak. You've been listening to Nickman's Drug here on WMBS 590 AM, 101.1 FM. Pete, it's been a great show as always. Very informative. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to our next show.
Me too.